Heating up a little bit. I'm going to bring someone else in. He's a celebrity singer who was so outraged by reparative therapy, he felt compelled to come on the show. We'll meet him. That's next.
Up next, singer Clay Aiken weighs in on the debate.
I don't even know that I would use the word angry. I think I would say heartbroken.
Plus,
you cannot erase decades of the work that stands behind you and say we're not connected
You're
to
misrepresenting our work.
coming up.
His was a meteoric rise from teacher to singing superstar. Clay Aiken became a household name on the second season of TV's American Idol. But while fame and fortune came knocking, Clay was content to keep his private life behind closed doors.
I go back and look at video of me on Idol and think, oh my God, how did I not know I was gay? Through high school, I always thought, well, everybody's talking about being with women, and I have no interest in that whatsoever. I assume that this sexual attraction to women will happen at the end, and I just need to wait for puberty to finish. And that never kicked in. I was 24 before I came out to myself, but I was at least 26 before I came out to people around me. Because of my job, there was an added layer of, well, now you need to tell strangers. And I didn't do that till I was 30. It was a long process. It's a journey for everyone. I think I'm happier today than I was when I was 25. You know, I've got a great kid now, but being comfortable with myself and loving myself has made loving life easier.
When word got out that we were doing this show, there was outrage in the gay community. Celebrity faces wanted their voices heard, and one of them is Clay Aiken. Now, he's angry that we even have this conversation about reparative therapy, but feels so strongly about the dangers of this approach that he wanted to be here today. So why? Why'd you care so much about shedding light on this therapy?
I don't even know that I would use the word angry. I think I would say heartbroken. You know, I listened to some of the stuff that was being said up here earlier, and I feel like, as I said in the piece earlier, it is a journey. Coming out, accepting yourself is a journey for everyone. And I applaud those who say that, like Chris, who say they want LGBT individuals to be able to achieve their dreams. My concern is that just by the nature of the name reparative therapy, you're implying that something needs to be repaired. You're implying that something's wrong in the first place. And I think that puts people back 10 steps on their journey. My journey took 10 years. Other people's who I've known, their journeys have taken much longer. I think Peter said he didn't come out until he was much older. You've got a journey, and everybody's is different. But when you imply that someone needs to be repaired, when you even provide a service that says, we'll fix this for you, we'll help you fix this, then you're saying that what you are inherently is wrong. I know I was born gay. I didn't make a choice to be gay. I didn't make a choice to not like women. And I think that even my path over the past 10 years should be evidence of that. My life would have been easier in points if I had been straight. And had you asked me 10 years ago if there was a pill, I would have given the same answer that some other people have. But today, I don't feel that way. I wouldn't take that pill today because I'm happy with myself. And that is a part of the journey, being able to love yourself. And I don't think that these therapies help people love themselves anymore at all.
Let me bring in a friend of mine, a good friend. He's been a friend of the show as well, Brad Lamb. And you know, when you have a good friend, you talk about a lot of stuff. But what we're about to talk about, I've never heard from Brad until we started to do this show. And it's a very personal and I know a painful conversation. So thank you for having it on our set.
Yeah.
Like Clay, outraged, angry, heartbroken, not thrilled.
I'll use the word outrage, though. That's me.
So tell me the story. What was your life growing up, even before you got exposed to reparative therapy?
Grew up in Eugene, Oregon, just the sweetest family you could have. My dad was a preacher. And in fact, in 1972, my mom dragged me to an Anita Bryant protest against gay. And I have a picture of me with a sign that says, "Gay is not good." At a protest, and I was maybe 6 years old. I had already told them that I was gonna marry a boy when I grew up. I'd already been kissing boys at preschool, and they knew that there was trouble because my parents looked at gay as a sin pathology. And so now as a clinician helping people with change, I know firsthand what it was to grow up with something innate, something like the white on my skin, who I was. And yet my family was preaching with great fear and great love, too, because they were just doing what they'd been taught, which is, boy, if there's anything worse than gay, we don't know what it is.
So you're age 17.
I started into reparative therapy. And I barely escaped with my life. I started seeing a therapist. My parents had pushed it for years, and finally I thought, oh my God, I gotta give this a try. I was suicidal as a gay kid. I was definitely suicidal after gay reparation therapy. It was an awful experience. It pushed me as a piece of trauma further and further into addiction. And what it led to was 20 years of active addiction, crystal meth and alcohol, and really self-harming behaviors as a response to these knuckle-headed approaches that come from these life coaches and from these therapists, so-called therapists, that are trying to teach people how not to be gay. Reparative therapy is steeped in blame and shame and guilt. These folks are preaching an outdated message.
Chris, I'd love to get your opinion.
I think he makes some valid points about, a non-acceptance of young people who are struggling with this issue. In fact, in our work at the International Healing Foundation, we have retreats and seminars and weekends where we bring moms and dads to help them learn how to love their children, because there is too much of a lack of acceptance for those feelings. But I think what's most important is that these moms and dads learn to understand their children, not blame them or make them...
Hold on, let me finish. But they don't. And your organization is a bogus organization. So to say that you're coming from a culture of love is not true, and you should not believe it.
Can I say something about my own son? If my own child, our son or our daughter, came to us and said, Mom, Dad, I think I'm gay, we would be like, we love you, and we want you to have the life that you desire, because obviously we want somebody to be content in their own heart with who they are.
Look, I hear you, and the earnestness in your story and your voice, I understand, and I connect with you as a human being. But the religious bigotry that is behind these bogus organizations that are preaching a sin pathology.
That's not us. We don't say that.
It is you, and you cannot erase decades of the work that stands behind you and say we're not connected to it.
You're misrepresenting our work.
I know your work, sir. And quite frankly, it's killing children.
Are you going to let me finish? Or are you going to? Okay. When a parent comes in and brings their child in, I always talk to the parents and I talk to the child. I say, what is it that you want? I always say to the child, are you really sure that you want to go through this process? Are you really sure you want to change? We believe in the right of self-determination. Everyone should have the right to choose.
How old are these kids? How old are the kids?
Go ahead, Peter.
Kids aren't old enough to know whether they want to be straight or gay. Some of them are raised in communities where they don't have a choice. And that's really what we're talking about here. Many of these kids come in thinking they want to do whatever their pastor wants them to do, their mom, their dad, their teachers. Well, they don't want to be gay. They know that's really bad. I compare it to being left-handed. Imagine if we went back to taking every left-handed kid in to get that fixed. I could learn to write with my right hand. I'm left-handed. But I certainly wouldn't want to do it until my motor skills were developed the way God intended them to be developed, and then I changed my mind for whatever reason. You're telling children and parents that they don't have the right to make their own minds. Kids want to please their parents.
People like myself, we never felt that we were gay. Do you understand that? I respect and love gays and lesbians. I have many gays and lesbian friends. But internally, I knew that I wasn't gay. You're trying to take away parental rights. It's unconstitutional, un-American. We should all be able to make that choice for ourselves.
No parent should have the right.
It's not. And
so parents should have the right for their own kids.
I'm going to ask the question, and here's the reason we're doing this show today is because this conversation is happening in back alleys. And that's why, although I understand you're heartbroken about it, if we don't have this painful conversation, it still occurs. There's just not anyone around who really can educate the process. So I'd love to hear your response to Chris, because Chris is asking an important question. Why wouldn't the parent, we're responsible for so much else that our kids do, should we be allowed to drag our kids into a potentially harmful experience? Where do you draw that line? No parent wants to hurt their kids. Your dad didn't want to hurt you, but he put you in a therapy that changed your life, not for the better, for many years.
Lots of families come to the table with lots of crackpot ideas. And so while I understand the love and compassion, and I believe that you believe what you're telling us, but I just believe you're wrong, and I believe it's killing people.
When we come back, you've heard the personal stories, you felt the outrage quite palpably. But what do some of the doctors say? That's next.
Up next.
Is this something that we should just knock out and get out of people's minds because it's harmful to them?
We tried to change people in marriages.
I'm living proof.
This is not the kind of healthy change that I would want to see in my
That's incredibly
patients.
offensive to people like me.
And later.
Reparative therapy does not tell children that there's something wrong with them.
You're simply not being honest, man.
Don't go away.